Hey everyone, welcome back. This is a little different of Showcase today. I'm not looking for extensive setup synergy or cool interactions or anything of that sort. This is just a straight up weapon utility and damage showcase for Steel Path. This weapon is frequently used and tested in operation events, as well as in certain level cap setups, yet for some reason I looked around and literally no one has talked about this weapon in quite a while. This weapon is Komorex. What I'm going to show you today makes it the absolute strongest sniper for normal play, the best quality of life, and actually competitive KPS. A different playstyle for sure, but one of the absolute strongest for a weapon that isn't even from the AoE launcher category. Komorex is a sniper, but don't let that fool you. It is anything but your classical archetype. It has below average crit stats, which we will easily patch up later, but look at the status and that fire rate. This is the fastest firing sniper rifle in the game with a magazine of 20. Yes, the reload is 3 seconds, but snipers have a unique arcane in the form of arcane momentum, which is a final multiplicative reload bonus increase. This stat is irrelevant. Next, let's look at the IPS. It's 50% slash. This means it can proc a ton of slash if you build for it, which will feature in one of our builds today. What the codex doesn't tell you is that on the second zoom level, you get pure viral damage as an extra hit on a 3.5 meter AoE explosion. Yes, you lose 75% fire rate, but this is actually mod fire rate and not flat fire rate, so it is completely negated and extra by vial acceleration. The 100% bonus damage that the second scope level gives seems to be acting a little bit weird and isn't giving the full 100% extra damage. It is a multiplier instead of additive, but scales improperly with base damage mods and elementals. Another thing is that Komorex's scope actually isn't that bad. While it still is a sniper scope, it's much less zoom than other snipers. The first scope is barely more than your standard ADS on pistols and launchers, and minus zoom doesn't exist as a normal mod except ambush optics for the Rubico family, but this 3.5x zoom really isn't that bad and lets you hit heads much more easily. The Sisters of Parvos update has added a ton of potential to that weapon, so let's work out some builds. This is your basic Komorex setup. It absolutely destroys everything on standard Steel Path and more. This weapon has absolutely no problems getting kills off, so Galvanized Chamber will stack to max near immediately. One shot, one kill. Galvanized Scope requires headshot kills. DOTs don't count. That's why this first build is raw corrosive damage. Not only does the weapon shoot extremely fast and self-primes viral and has damage bonuses, being a sniper means it also has access to the combo multiplier mechanic. You land more shots, you build combo, just like a melee. The combo mechanic acts like Eclipse, a final damage multiplier on your sniper and decays by 1 every 2 seconds. It is very easy to keep your combo growing faster than decay in modes like survival. Multi-shot factors into it as well. You could even do this in disruption as well, but killing adds will become a secondary objective to the Demolists themselves. I have a primed Bane slotted here as the flex slot on the build. Because this is a raw damage setup, it isn't as important because it won't double dip. If you really don't want to run a Bane, you have a couple of other options. You want to maximize that single target damage, you can run target acquired. If you want AoE kills for even when you aren't hitting enemies directly, you could run Hunter Munitions. Unfortunately, Prime Firestorm does not work on the AoE size of this weapon. Another option is actually slotting Amalgam Serration because we only have primary Merciless on the setup, as Galvanized Aptitude's damage bonus does not currently work on Komorex for whatever reason, both on the shot and the AoE. Don't ask me why. This is on the list of weapons that still needs to be fixed with Gun CO. As I said, we are going raw corrosive for max deeps for one shot, one kill. Vial acceleration completely negates the 75% fire rate penalty on the 3.5x zoom level, granting us an actual 15% fire rate bonus for a net 6.9 fire rate. Finally, we have our crit mods. Firstly, Point Strike to get this weapon off the ground before you start getting kills, so that you aren't starting with literally no crit chance. Once you start popping heads, Galvanized Scope will quickly kick in to give that full 320% extra crit. This weapon reaches 91.2% crit chance once Galvanized Scope is fully stacked, near guaranteeing we crit. The last slot is obviously taken by Vital Sense. If you don't think you can make the most out of that 6.9 fire rate, you can instead opt for Critical Delay. This will drop the fire rate down to 5.7 on the 3.5x zoom level, but it does push your critical chance all the way up to 99.2% for consistency. This is entirely up to you. Of course, we are slotting primary merciless today since killing isn't a problem whatsoever with this weapon. It also grants us 30% reload speed to cut it down to 2.3 seconds, and actually, remember, it stacks multiplicatively with arcane momentum, which is important for most sniper setups. This is a multiplicative extra 150% sniper reload speed and cuts it all the way down to 0.92 seconds. Yes, from 3 seconds all the way down to sub 1. So don't be afraid of this weapon's reload in the arsenal. While it isn't absolutely mandatory, this weapon benefits hugely from Ensnare. That's literally the only reason I have core up for this video. I don't even have a proper build, but more range and efficiency would be nice. This is literally a farming Korra build. You could go for a combat discipline arcane Avenger setup also, which means you no longer have a free arcane slot, but if all you're going to use is Ensnare, not bringing Energize isn't really a problem. That would be Avenger and Momentum. This would also mean we can drop Point Strike, preferably for bladed rounds, as Galvanized Scope and Arcane Avenger pushes your crit chance all the way up to 112.2. But that's up to you to decide. You don't have to do this. This is the build I'm going to showcase first. Stabilizer would go in the X-list as the weapon does have a little bit of a kick, but I can't fit it because of another config. Your companion is whatever, it doesn't matter because the weapon already has around 100cc and doesn't really need the Vigilante set bonus, so if you want to run Panzer or something else besides Sentinels, go ahead. Let's spawn in some corrupted heavy gunners. I need a little bit to start building my stacks up, and there, we did it. Now it's completely one-tapping them. Another cool thing is you don't have to shoot the head, look at this. You can shoot the body and they will still die easily. Just make sure you get the headshot kills here and there to keep Galvanized Scope up. The AoE and punch through with the weapon helps out a lot here. And also, look, the sniper combo counter. Now I'm doing 2.5 times more damage than I was at the start. While Komorex takes a little bit to ramp up, it stays powerful once it's there and was already decent to start out with. Once your stacks are up, you can one-shot anything on standard Steel Path. Remember, I have 0 buffs on right now. I didn't even bring Vigorous Swap this time, so let's try it again with Ensnare. And they're all dead, look at that. I even lost my Galvanized Scope bonus before we started testing that again, which is a huge chunk of my damage, and now it's maxed again. The weapon even has innate ammo mutation, so you don't need to worry about that. If you don't mind a little bit of ADS play and are looking for something that takes minimal effort for Steel Path, Komorex is your answer. It has become an absolute monster since the update. Imagine what I can do once Galvanized Aptitude is fixed to work on it. Actually, let's spawn Drake Armenic Bombbirds. I'll switch to Grenier Banes instead. It'll take a tiny bit longer to set up because they aren't weak to corrosive and have alloy armor instead, and they also have much higher HP. But the results will still be the same. Once I get a few kills in, now I'm just tapping them. And keep in mind, these enemies are way tankier than what you will see on Steel Path normally. So yeah, simple as that. Now, I got a second build for you today. This is the Endurance build and is a little harder to use. It focuses on slash procs, meaning we don't have the fat armor ignore of corrosive, but we will have the armor ignore of slash DOTs. So you will have to pay attention to fodder units if you want to set up your Galvanized Scope bonus easier. Basically, all we did was drop the corrosive mods for hunting munitions and hammer shot. Going pure IPS makes our slash procs more reliable, and also the opportunity for hunting munition procs since we have guaranteed crits. I also managed to actually fit Stabilizer in. I do recommend using a Combat Discipline Arcane Avenger setup for this in Endurance because you want the best chances as possible to set up Galvanized Scope. But to keep the comparison fair, I'm not going to slot that. Besides this, nothing else has really changed. This build is extremely reliant on the slash procs you get for scaling, so the upfront damage will suffer a bit. Don't expect things to die as fast if you're using this on regular Steel Path compared to the corrosive build. I wouldn't expect this to start overtaking the first build until level 1000 or 2000. So basically, tailor-made for Endurance. We're going to be using the exact same Korra setup as last time. So let's spawn some Corrupted Heavy Gunners again. We build some combo and galvanize and merciless stacks. And now we basically have the same effect. One shot, one kill. However, they're dying to the first slash tick instead of the main shot. This does mean you'll have to shoot more if you want to reliably get the on headshot kill effect for Galvanized Scope. But keep in mind slash ticks 6 separate times, yet a single tick was doing enough to kill them for several 100,000 damage, well over their HP. So you can already tell the damage scaling of this weapon, of this build, is way higher than the corrosive setup and completely ignores armor. Now let's try with Ensnare. The important part here is we now have AoE slash procs from hunted munitions because the explosion shares the same crit stats as the main shot. It also has innate viral, so it just works really well together. With Ensnare, the performance is nearly identical to the corrosive setup because of the AoE slash, whereas the gap was much more obvious with single target. Now let's move up to those Drake Armanic Bombards. I'll plink them a few times, build up stacks, and now we can kill them again. It takes more than 2 shots to kill them outright, but if you wait on the DOT, a single shot is more than enough. See? And remember, combo can always be built higher, so this is an example of how the weapon can pull ahead of pure corrosive. It's entirely up to you on which one you want to use. Different builds for different purposes. There you go. As you can see, Komorex besides Spirothrix is the only AoE sniper, and Spirothrix feels like crap to use. Honestly, I would only ever take Spirothrix out for demless setups, because of its abysmal fire rate and reload as well as unreliable crits. This is mostly a personal choice, but definitely pick the sniper up. It's only a sniper by name, and instead functions like a top tier semi-auto rifle with tons of extra nice perks and free viral procs. All we need is Guncio working on it. Try it out and I promise you won't regret it. So a couple people have been asking this, as well as a few viewers that may have been trolling Lifewater in the chat, but let's just clear this up. The way to how to say the name of my channel is actually Asian Invasions, not As Invasions or Ans Invasions or whatever variant that you think it might be. If this is your first time watching, feel free to leave a like or, better yet, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. 79.5% of you are not subscribed. I'm trying my best to get you new information out always, as soon as possible, like I've done with covering the Tempest story and the Sisters of Parvos updates. Stick around if you want to see interesting memes and builds on a nearly daily basis. I'm also preparing to get you the info first once more new war info drops. You don't want to miss out on any of that, do you? That'll be it for this video. Thank you all for watching, and see you all next time.